Okay, this video is about how I'm experiencing gang stalking where I live, how it's playing out where I stay. So first I'm going to show you the property, then I'm going to tell you the parties that are involved and give you some background information and go into what's been happening. Okay, here's my entrance and there's the neighbor's entrance. Of course, there's a front. There's two mailboxes. But they did this after I sat on the step once. They barricaded the porch after I sat on the step once, and they actually moved it up a little bit. This is the view of the property. It looks like a single family home, but it's not. It's a duplex, but it's ideal for disinformation. So my porch, this is the area that they lie about the most. You'll see that in another video. They claim that every room in my place is someone else's place. So they're pretending that these folks live alone and that I don't stay here. And this is my washer dryer hookup area. Okay, so the three parties involved is the landlord, the tenant, and the tenant's boyfriend. The landlord's name is Pt.A. The tenant's name is Kelly Bunce, and her boyfriend's name is Steve. I don't know his last name. Some background information, I guess, before I go into more recent activity of what happened. The government, those surveilling me, they decided that they were going to hide all of 2019's activity. They recently broke my glasses. Hold on. They decided that they were going to hide all of 2019's activity, and because it didn't support the lies that they were trying to tell. So the first thing that they did was in October. There were some. Maybe I should start with July. In July, I stopped talking. I stopped saying maybe August, July, August time frame. I stopped sitting on my porch. And I stopped sitting on my porch because her boyfriend was coming out there like bad mouthing her. And not only was he bad mouthing her, he was disturbing me, and like me saying I'm busy or I'm working on something wasn't good enough. Like it go in one ear and out the other. Like he was literally trying to disturb me. And there's a trail of that. Like most of the things leading up to it, up to this, regarding the neighbor's activity, is in divine disclosure. All of the things regarding the landlord is in divine disclosure because we haven't had any contact prior to this situation. After July 2019. Bear with me. Remote neural monitoring is in full effect. You can imagine I'm about to say some things that they don't want me to say. So like I said, they decided that 2019's activity didn't support the lies they wanted to tell and the energy that they wanted to steal. And they were stealing energy as the landlord. So he began to do, change some things. They changed some things about him. And so the first thing that they did when they got mad about me not communicating with these two, mind you, is her boyfriend. She always kind of steered clear, she'll say a couple things, and that didn't even start until she realized I really wasn't messing with the landlord anymore. Like when he was coming by, dropping over ever so often, she had some real insecurities surrounding that. And she get on her boyfriend too, and about being out talking to me all the time. So as soon as he stopped coming around, she, there was nothing to fuel her insecurities, even though her boyfriend was still like kind of hanging around. Eventually she got used to that and she kind of warmed up to me. And I told you, I mentioned before, like, she has prejudice in her DNA. Like, that's just it. And these are the type of expressions that the government is able to remove or dampen. You know, like if they add other things to it, it'll dampen it so that it's not as, you know, in your face. So, July, when the landlord stopped by, I asked him not to come by anymore. I asked him not to come by anymore. Shortly after that, I asked the neighbor. I mean, I didn't ask the neighbor. I just stopped sitting on my porch because I didn't want to be bothered, like he was always talking about. So here's the things that he was saying about her. I wrote a couple of notes because I realized that some of them were being blocked, you know, and like when I was brainstorming, they come to mind. And I was like, I couldn't remember that before. So anyhow, here goes. He says that he wasn't attracted to her. You know, these are constant. All the things that I'm about to say were said over and over again. And before he was granted Social Security in July of 2019, before he got Social Security, you know, and he would talk about her and stuff. I'm like, just make sure you're not using her, you know, like don't. He was like, well, I'm just not cut out to be homeless, you know. And I was like, I get that. I was like, but you still shouldn't be using her or whatever. He's like, no, you know, I pay my half of the rent and this, that, and the other. And I was like, oh, whatever. So anyhow, said he's not attracted to her. He said he won't sleep in bed with her because he can't stand to be near her. He says that she stays on the toilet all day. He said that he wouldn't dare have sex with her. That her and her oldest daughter was a pig. And he gets tired of cleaning up behind them. That there's times he has to tell Kelly to take a shower. He thinks her daughter, the teen, she has two daughters. She has two daughters and a son. One's an adult, one's a teen or a young adult, and her son's an adult. So the teen, he said he thinks that she's having sex with her friend's dad. And he also said that she thinks her mom is crazy and that's why she doesn't want to stay with them. And that she told him it wasn't him. That he wasn't the reason why. He said he had to fight her son and her son doesn't like him. He said she never cooks and he does all the cooking. He said he had to get on her about slamming doors. Now let me tell you something about this slamming door statement. When they moved in, she was the one slamming doors. Now it's him. He used to literally, like, they would argue a lot and you could hear it, you know, like, so I hear him get on her like, stop slamming the doors and blah, blah, blah. And now the roles have completely changed. This is the type of stuff that the government does. They'll flip the expression. It's biotechnology. So if I do this all the time and the guy over here does this all the time, they will switch the expressions. Suddenly it'll be me that's going like this. And now the guy over here is like. But when you don't have your mind, when you're absent from the mind, you don't know that that's not your behavior. So slamming doors. And there were like other small things in between, you know, like he gripe about her buying the daughter that doesn't stay with him, that has a room there, you know, a flat screen TV, and he felt like she should have brought him one because he lives with her, you know, small stuff like that in between. Those surveilling told me that they were going to change all of their activity so that it conflicted with everything that I've said. So what they were doing was, to other agents, keep in mind this is an isolated matter. No one's watching and paying attention to anything. This is like an isolated war. I'm stuck in a war between Satanists. And as long as a certain groups of Satanists can find a way to manipulate reality, they do. And the others are just like, you know, we can't kill her. So, they told me they were going to change it, so everything conflicted. And the thing about changing their behavior is when they give these identities to another agent. Keep in mind, this is all them. This is all them. It's all a reflection of themselves. Like, they replicate themselves. It looks like a completely different person, but it has their complete genetic makeup, you know, and they program their minds, and they're the only ones that can override their minds. And in fact, it's an outfit. If they wanted to assume consciousness of that individual, they could. So when they switch, do the little switcheroo, you know, and get rid of an identity, it's still them that have it. The same motherfuckers watching me all day are always downstairs. So, yeah, they were just, you know, that's the type of stuff they do. They switch it up and then they give the identity to someone else. And they're like, none of the stuff she said as of, she's lying on them. She's lying on them. Like, and besides, she's not who she says she is, because we saw her doing this, and they'll show them some stuff that they made up. You know, like me being with a guy or something. Okay, so now for the landlord. There's things that he knew. You know, like, he used to know that they were noisy. He said it himself. He never heard them argue. Like, that's one of the things that he found out through me. You know, when he brought it up, he was talking about how noisy they were one day. And I was like, yeah, like, they argue a lot. And he was like, yeah, I bet, like, something. And some of the information that he got from me, or I confirmed, was that she lied on her application, because he was asking me, he was like, does her daughter even, he said that it was her and her daughter moving in. And I was like, no, like, she don't even have, like, her daughter don't stay with her, you know, like, and Steve was the one that told me. And he was like, so she got the place for her and him. You know, I was like, yeah. I was like, she come over, like, every once in a while, you know, like, trying to make it like she surfaces or something, but she really don't like that. Like, her daughter don't come around like that. Something that he often had to remind Steve was, because he's kind of running her situation down there, you know, like, he often had to remind him that he wasn't on a lease. He often had to remind him he was on a lease. And when he would, Steve would come and bitch to me about it. You know, like, he has a problem with this, you know, and he keeps telling me that I'm not on a lease, but I feel like this and that. Something else the landlord used to know was that Steve would lurk and watch me. You know, like, he often regarded, like, what is he doing out here this time of night? Like, because this was during the time, like, when I wasn't having him in my place. And he was like, what is he, like, is he out here watching you? He was like, man, that dude got, like, I think he like you. You know, like, he's always out here. Like, what is he doing this time of night? And that's the type of stuff he does. In the video, something else that they did to make activity. So, okay, they decided 2019's activity, you know, me searching for a job and stuff like that, did not align with the lies they wanted to tell on me, and the type of crucial, I guess, attacks that they wanted to make on me. So this stuff with my skin that they're doing, you know, and like my missing tooth being visible. So the first thing they did was they broke my partial, then they busted my air mattress, and then they stole the SD card that had a folder titled neighborhood on it. And in that folder, it had a lot of the activity, you know, that was going on with the neighborhood. It wasn't just about them downstairs. They're using everyone around me. and they're changing everyone around me. But anyhow, in these videos, like what you're gonna see in the comments, like I said, is supporting videos and like just, you know, this matter as it developed. I didn't have any contact with the landlord at all. And you know what? When I wrote, this all started because I wrote her a letter. I've been letting her use the space that I rent. That's like a part of the portion that I rent. The backyard is a part of the portion that I rent. I've been allowing her to use it. She ain't got nothing but some rocks and a motherfucking grill back there. Like, it's not a big deal. I told her I planned on occupying the space. So you're gonna see in the video, like, where, you know, she throws a fit, you know, and I'm like, you don't have to do all that. I'm like, what's the problem? What are you mad about? You know, like, you mad about the rocks? You mad about the grill? Like, all I'm doing is asking you to move the stuff, you know, like, she was talking like, she was like, well, forget it, I'll move out. And I was like, it ain't even gotta be all that. Like, I'm just asking you to get your stuff out the yard. And I gave you, the letter was so kind. She ended up lying in that video. She never asked me, was I mad at them? That's not even her style. That's him. That's his doing. So like, imagine, it's back to this situation. Imagine me asking you something, and then you got him that never says anything. That guy, he never says nothing. We're together, and then suddenly you have a conversation with this guy, and he's telling you that he said to you what I said to you. You get what I'm saying? Like, he thinks that he did something that he didn't. These are the type of fucked up situations the government put me in. I'm dealing with folks that don't have their minds. And I'm like, no, you know, and she's saying it with conviction because to her it's real. That's what a subconscious mind attack is. And meanwhile, I'm the only one that knows the truth. So you can't get through to somebody like that. You can't. I ended up leaving it alone. But she thought she was the one that asked me. She never asked me that. That's not her style. That's her boyfriend. And I told you, it's documented in Divine Disclosures. Like, he asked twice. The first time he worded it, he asked me, was I mad at him? The second time he worded it, he asked me, was I mad at them? So yeah, she lied, and I ain't got time for that shit. And now, you know, like, it's weird because the way that they've programmed the landlord to think and feel about this situation, he feels like he didn't even have to listen to my side, is what he feels like. That's what I gotta do. I gotta go back a little bit. First of all, he was not going to mention it to me. She had a problem with the letter. She went to him. He wasn't going to mention it. So, you know, now with paranormal activity and stuff like that, you know, it's nothing for something that's fixed on the wall to fall off with no reason. They said, let's do this other stuff. And they knocked the smoke detector off the wall. So I reached out. And when I reached out, that's what he had to say. He mentioned it then. So, yeah, and he just kind of decided that he wasn't going to deal with the situation at all. And of course, I am going to take him to court, you know, because he can't even justify what I'm telling. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't tell somebody that they can use something that is a part of someone else's rent. Like, drop my rent. They can use it exclusively, drop my rent that you raised with no reason right before I signed. Hold on. Okay, so real quick, I need to bring this to a close. I'm like 20 minutes in. So, I attempted to capture some of the disturbances, you know, the things that they were doing, but at times it's difficult, you know, like acoustics, like it's the manipulation of sound, you know, like and how items in the room are heard. And I'll talk about that in other videos, like how they isolate. Sometimes when they slam the door, I can tell they're trying to isolate it so it doesn't, you know, amplify like it normally would if there was no interference. They create a space around it, and I even showed an example of it in a couple of videos of what that sounds like. But they're also able, everything is speakers. This phone has speakers. Speakers that can be manipulated. That's a form of acoustics, no different than ears. So they can drop the background noise out. You know, they can drop or lower the sound of what's taking place. Like in the conversation between me and her, she was aggressive and they dropped her voice so low that it doesn't even appear so. And then there's videos of me, you know, like talking about the situation while he's doing something downstairs, and they amplify my voice and drop the noise in the room so that you can't hear it when it's like clearly loud as day. Behavior. She did used to always sit still, you know, and one of the first things that they did when they changed her was she began to move more. So she'd be up like first thing in the morning and like gone, like I'm talking about just out, and he'd be left here. And like around October, November, maybe November, December time frame was when he began to try to make it apparent that he's trying to disturb me. And that's been going on for months. That's been going on for months. He's been trying to be a disturbance, like blatant disturbance. They program to think that you have had their activity. So also in the video with me and her, you know, he was hiding behind the door and he kind of like stuck his head out. I was like, and yeah, you up there trying to be loud and stuff. And I was like, what is he talking about? Like, am I loud? She's like pretty much don't even pay that no mind. But that's what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? Like it's such a horrible, the situations that they create are so bad, because imagine someone doing something to you and telling you that you're doing it to them. So they're carrying out this activity and this behavior all the time, but then they'll point the finger and say that it's you. So then they stopped smoking outside, like December time frame. They stopped smoking outside and started stinking up my place. You know, the smoke was coming through the vents, stinking up my place. And that's connected, like they saw me killing. That's how powerful my imagination is when they run scenarios of, if this person does this, how are you going to respond? That's what probing is. How are you going to respond to the situation? And when they saw how I respond to the situation, they saw that I kill him. So they stopped going outside. And similar situations have taken place in the neighborhood. Something else. I told you this house, this setup, you know, this upstairs, downstairs, or deal with the doors on the side of the house, and then there's one kind of tucked off in the back. It's the ideal situation for parallel reality. They act like I don't even have a place of my own. They call every room in my place someone else's place. So then they do stuff to make it seem like I moved. You know, like she got her roof done, and then she put the car that doesn't run over here. Then they had a truck downstairs, and they've moved or gotten rid of the truck. So now that space is clear. You know, it's like it's no longer an object there to be manipulated. And when they arrange the doors and the houses, you know, and the overlay, you know, when they arrange these things in parallel reality, it looks like a completely different place. All it takes is a small change in reality. Something small can make a situation look completely different.